Welcome to yet another episode of ETH Insights. Around 40 years ago, Alan Trefler developed some of the first AI agents capable of playing chess at an elite level. He would go on to found Pegasystems, which is among the world's largest enterprise transformation companies. Pega's platform helps companies personalize engagements, automate service, and streamline operations all over the world, including in India, which has served as the company's largest R&D center since 2008. To talk about the current state of enterprise automation globally and how Pega is helping companies leverage AI for their digital transformation, we have with us here today Deepak Visweswaraiah, Vice President Platform Engineering and Site Managing Director, Pega India. Hello Deepak, welcome to ETH Insights. My first question to you is, how do you think that in taking a larger, broader industry view, how has AI and ML transformed the enterprise automation?
Yeah, enterprise automation is a pretty big, sector, and we have actually been in the business of being able to automate workflows for a long time. So we've kind of seen it up and close, right? So if you think of an analogy, prior to AI ML in the automation in the enterprise automation space, think of it in terms of how you would organize your information. Let's say, for example, it would be like a file cabinet, for example, and then how to organize a file cabinet, and then you would do everything, and it's essentially rigid processes, defined processes, and how you go about actually doing that, repeatedly doing that, was what was done. I think what AI ML brought is kind of to be able to add, let's say, a smart intern to the file cabinet. Now, who knows where you want to file what, how why do you want to file it there, and then potentially also indicate as far as even before you ask, where if something should be done differently, right? To be able to give that suggestions or whatever. So essentially, AI/ML kind of brought intelligence and application into what was already being done. I think that actually caused a phenomenal change in the enterprise automation space. Now, AI/ML in the traditional sense has been around for a while. I mean, we actually have been using traditional AI, what we talk about as statistical AI, essentially to use machine learning to drive decision making and what have you for more than a decade. And what is actually changed is now the generative AI that has brought in a significant change in how AI is actually applied and for what. The ability to be able to really focus or bring in reasoning into what we bring in, a lot of the ability to be able to make decisions based on the data that is in the system or that the models are trained on or what have you. So generative AI actually brought in a set of changes in the last couple of years that has actually had a profound impact on just enterprise automation. Now you can actually make not just being able to automate processes that were easy to do. Now you can actually build intelligence into it and ask it to change based on time and learning capability. And most recently, in the last probably few months, we've also heard about agentic AI.
Yes.
And now that actually is also going to have more impact in this space, where there are really discrete processes, processes that are themselves, they will become autonomous, and they will actually automate the complete aspect of different parts of the system, if you want, right? Where they can actually run without human intervention and then produce those results that we're talking about. So this is kind of the journey that we have gone through in enterprise automation. And there are several areas of impact that you will actually see, right? In some sense, we say in terms of the regular automation process to what we refer to as a cognitive process. Now the process actually knows a lot more than just automation. Right? It also knows about in terms of has intelligence built into it, and based on that, it can actually take actions. There are things like that where there is a significant shift in the industry that we are continuing to see, and with the leverage of these large language models and then how they're applied into the whole automation industry is only going to drive it, even harder. And then, you can expect to see more changes in that sense.
So moving from automation to Gen AI and now agentic AI, in terms of the larger AI ML space, how would you say that your organization Pega differentiates from the rest, from the competitors?
So what makes us different is our architecture. Product architecture is what we refer to as something called as a center-out architecture. Pega is probably the only product in this space what we refer to as a unified platform. We offer a unified platform that provides the capability of CRM, digital process automation, robotics. All of the things that we offer is actually offered through a unified platform. This unified platform is built on the concept of a center-out architecture where the business outcome is really what is in the center of the architecture when you build out any application on top of the platform. And you can actually build that application without having to worry about who is going to use it on what channel. Right? In the sense that somebody may use it on a mobile, somebody may use it on a laptop or through a browser, somebody may be using it on a tablet or a desktop or whatever the case may be. The power that our platform provides is that channel independence. So that's a big differentiator in the market for us in terms of how it is used. So anyone who is using the platform has all of this available to them. Not just that it is available to them across the platform in various ways. What it also does is, we've built it with an OpenAI architecture. When we say OpenAI, our clients actually have the choice of being able to use or leverage the models that they prefer. And the idea is that our, platform supports that independence and provides that independence to be able to do that. While in doing that, it is very important to think about how do we do this ethically right? How do we make sure that the risks are removed? How do we make sure that our customers don't get into trouble when they are using it? So those kind of security features in terms of using private, data, personal data, and how it actually transcends to the internet versus coming back, or when people use our platform, and how it communicates to a large language model on the internet and being able to have that communication is all we make sure that is actually secure.
Talking about differentiation, I think it's equally important then to talk about the people behind it.
Yes.
So I think 1/3 of Pega's global workforce is based out of India.
Yeah.
So how does the country shape, Pega's largest strategy and approach towards innovation?
That's a fantastic question. I think without the people, at the end of the day, we won't be able to do much of anything else, because everything for us is actually comes from the people that we have. We started quite some time ago. In fact, we have a very highly mature organization in India. They're actually, over 1/3. I would probably say closer to 40% of Pega is actually here in India. And we do a lot of product development, product engineering work out of here. I think there are three things, from Pega India perspective, when we look at ourselves as a microcosm of overall Pega. One is that we have pretty much across, you can look at it as a microcosm in the sense that we have all different functions that exist in the company, all in one country. So it's probably a very unique to be able to walk across and you can talk to somebody in product support, you can talk to somebody in consulting, you can talk to somebody in product management or product development or whatever the case may be, right? It has significant presence across the board in all functions, which gives us a huge advantage of being able to collaborate and do things. We started in 2007, so we were highly matured GCC. There are probably three things that really gives us the ability to be able to contribute that value. One is our leadership team. We have a fantastic leadership team that understands Pega very well. The second thing is really about pushing the boundaries of innovation, and that we have the ability to do that because we have a significantly large section of senior technologists. When I say senior technologists, within Pega India, about 40% of our individual contributors. About 40% of our individual contributors are senior technical people. When I say senior technical people, they are about at least 10 to 12 years of experience. And thirdly, is our ability to engage with our employees. We have a specifically designed engagement pattern that we follow in terms of how best to work with people and how do we drive value from that point of view, right? These probably three factors really give us the ability to be front and center in how we contribute.
Deepak, you spoke about pushing the boundaries on innovation. Some of the biggest businesses out there, from Citi to Cisco, they are your clients.
Yes.
So in such scenario, how do you balance pushing the boundaries on innovation with the relentless reliability that big businesses seek?
We work with the world's largest enterprises. They have expectations that we don't let them down.
Absolutely.
One of the things they love us for is the innovation too. They love us to be on the forefront of being able to help them solve their problems in terms of what we have been able to do with AI and then with generative AI and then agentic AI in the recent past is something that our customers have really adopted to very well. A great example is a product that we call as Pega Blueprint. Pega Blueprint is something that our clients can actually use to rethink entirely their legacy systems that exist in a very, very short time frame, and something that is available just on a Pega website. To your point in terms of one, they push us actually to do innovate, and they also actually push us to make sure that we understand their expectations of the systems being highly scalable and reliable. And when they use it works. There are two ways. One thing is that we deploy a load of these innovations on our Pega Cloud that we manage, and we have a lot of experience in terms of making sure what we deploy there is tested well, and then there is a huge focus on quality before we actually get anything out. And the quality includes whether it is reliability or scalability or performance. Everything is as part of that. It is one thing to be able to just put that out there with a sort of testing, but it's also another part to be able to engage our clients, to give them that confidence that while we are actually doing this, we're actually doing all the right things to be able to get there. One of the things that gives us that ability to be able to give that confidence is actually the platform that I spoke about. The unified platform that brings together these things is something that is fundamentally designed in a way which can actually be adopted internally before we. So one of the rules that we have is that when we innovate things and then when we build things into, and which happens every month for that matter, we actually adopt that within our own company in terms of the applications that we build before we actually ship it to a customer. And then lastly, it's not just about being able to do that, it's also being able to build those relationships with clients where they actually have that confidence. Even in a place like India, where we don't actually sell into India as a market, but we have a large footprint of customers actually here who use our products. So we sell into the largest enterprises. All of these large enterprises actually have their own, global capability centers, their own GCCs actually here in India. There's really no big company that probably doesn't have, right? I mean, especially Hyderabad and Bangalore for us are hotbed for these GCCs. And what we've done over the last 18 months is to be able to build relationships with their centers, that are here in India, who are actually Pega customers, who are actually using our Pega technology. So we get to hear firsthand from them in terms of how they're using our products and what are some of the challenges that they are facing and how can we get feedback. It's actually all happening here locally.
Deepak, with the rise of what we call the autonomous enterprise, has also led to the emergence of newer and newer business models. Can you give us a sense of possibility on what the future holds?
I think one of the things I saw recently was, let's say, moving from a reactive to a proactive model, right? In terms of from a business model perspective, a lot of people would actually tell you in terms of here is our SLA. If something goes wrong, we will fix it in X amount of time, or whatever the time frame may be. And that's kind of the business model that you would actually look for, or how do you, with the advent of some of these AI models and what have you, it's actually turning into a product. Essentially people are saying, what, I will make sure that you never have the problem. Right? I will predict the problem before it happens, and I will tell you what it is and how you can actually fix it. So the business model is changing to more of a proactive model, where you can actually identify the problem ahead of time and be able to rectify.
Predictive.
More predictive. There are things in terms of where we would refer to in terms of different types of units with the notion of being able to use AI, ML, with generative AI or agentic AI. There is a lot of interaction with respect to the large language models that are being used. So the entire compute infrastructure that you may actually be using as a user needs to be paid somehow, right? And then what units, there is a lot of creative ways that people are trying to come up with in terms of business models as to how do we monetize, or how do you charge somebody who is using your product to be able to, leverage those. Lastly, pretty much, before it was actually software as a service. Now, pretty much you can say everything is a service. It doesn't matter. You may actually own a furniture business, you may own a manufacturing business, you may own a food business for that matter, whatever, it may be. The models are changing to be as a service in everything. And I think what it actually provides is a way to be able to build a constant touch with the customer, where you're actually, paying because you're using. And, if somebody doesn't like it, they're gone away. If you're not building that relationship and having that constant relationship, they will actually, move away and go to the next, person who offers something better, right? So that's an ability that these kind of business models actually have. And people are being creative about offering such models across the board, irrespective of what. You don't have to be actually have a software product. You can actually do anything as a service these days.
Deepak, my last question to you would be, 22 was the year of ChatGPT. Then 23 and 24 was more about it moving from proof of concept to being integrated into the systems. This year is being called the year of agentic AI. What is that one trend that you are most excited about?
Trend that I'm really excited about more of is what all of these technologies actually provide us as a way to be able to, do things better. I'm not so worried about in terms of, okay, is AI going to replace jobs, as much as is AI going to give us a better chance of improving ourselves. And that is across the board in terms of ability, whether they are, a software developer versus, whoever it may be. I believe this revolution will actually impact all personas. Just to be able to take our own space, we believe that it will impact a seller, it will impact a marketer, it will impact a developer, it will impact a user, it will impact an operator, pretty much anyone in the supply chain or in the entire life cycle of being able to build a product. And that is true to the most part, especially in areas where, whether it is healthcare or education, there is a significant opportunity to be able to do things better from a human, expectation point of view. I think one of the exciting things is to also look at how close can we get to human aspect of things. How much of these machines, how much closer can they get to humans, right? We've already seen in terms of chatbot, in terms of understanding voice and understanding tone, understanding, the feeling of someone who is talking to it as such, right? All of those are actually making great progress. And it's a question of being able to, how closer, can you get, but all the time thinking about being, doing the right things. Yes, there are always risks, with these technologies. How do you manage that risk? Do you really, build enough governance in the systems without hampering the innovation, part of it? Is probably important. But that's, exciting. I think, everyone has a way to experience it. Is kind of what's exciting about it.
I mean, your founder being a chess master himself, I'm sure thinking 5-10 moves ahead comes naturally to Pega. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It is a wonderful, it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.